Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today we have an exciting topic that will take your English fluency to the next level. It's called Think Smart, Speak Fluent. Have you ever felt stuck while speaking English, even though you know the words? Or maybe you feel like your thoughts are moving faster than your ability to express them? Don't worry, you're not alone. And today, we're here to help.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia, your co-host, and I'm so excited to dive into this topic with you. Speaking fluent English isn't just about knowing vocabulary or grammar, it's about how you think in English. And believe it or not, the way you organize your thoughts plays a huge role in how smoothly you speak.
That's so true, Julia. In this episode, we'll talk about how to think smart. That means organizing your thoughts, focusing on clarity, and building a strong foundation in your mind so that you can speak fluent English confidently and naturally.
Exactly. Plus, we'll share some practical tips and strategies that you can start using today. So, whether you're a beginner or someone looking to take your fluency to the next level, stay with us till the end.
And don't forget, we want to hear from you. As you listen, feel free to drop your thoughts or questions in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them in our future episodes.
All right, Jason, let's get started. I can't wait to discuss how thinking smart can transform the way we speak English fluently.
Let's do it! First, let's talk about the connection between thinking and speaking in English. Now, let's dive into the connection between thinking and speaking in English. Julia, have you ever noticed how smoothly people speak when their thoughts are clear?
Absolutely, Jason. That's because speaking fluently isn't just about the words. It's about how we organize and express our thoughts. If your mind is cluttered or you're overthinking, it can make speaking much harder.
Exactly! Think of your brain like a highway. When your thoughts are organized, the words flow smoothly, like cars driving without traffic. But if you're scrambling to translate or second-guess yourself, it's like a traffic jam in your mind.
That's such a great analogy. And you know what? Many English learners struggle because they try to think in their native language first, then translate into English. That extra step often slows them down or creates awkward sentences.
Yes, that's a common challenge. When you think in your native language, it's like building a bridge every time you want to speak. Instead, what we want is to train our brains to think directly in English.
Exactly. And when you start thinking in English, your responses become faster and more natural. You're not worrying about grammar rules or translation. You're just speaking.
So, Julia, what would you say are the main benefits of thinking directly in English?
Good question, Jason. First, it saves time because you skip the translation process. Second, it helps you focus on the flow of your conversation rather than overanalyzing every word. And third, it builds confidence because you feel more connected to the language.
Great points. And let's not forget, it also improves your fluency over time. When you think in English, you naturally build stronger connections between words and ideas, which helps you express yourself more effectively.
That's right. And thinking in English doesn't mean you need to be perfect. It's okay to start simple, like naming objects around you in English or describing what you're doing throughout the day.
Yes, starting small is key. And as you practice, you'll notice that your brain begins to process thoughts in English more naturally.
So, to sum up this segment, the clearer and more organized your thoughts are, the easier it will be to speak fluently. And one of the best ways to do that is to train yourself to think in English.
That's a great takeaway, Julia. Up next, we're going to share some practical tips on how you can start thinking smart in English today. Welcome back. Now that we understand the connection between thinking and speaking, let's get into some practical tips for thinking smart in English. Julia, where do you think learners should begin?
Great question, Jason. The first step is to start thinking in simple English. Many learners feel overwhelmed because they try to construct complex sentences in their minds. Instead, focus on small, manageable thoughts. For example, if you're looking at a cup of coffee, think, "This is coffee. It's hot. I like coffee."
That's a fantastic point, Julia. Keeping it simple not only makes it easier to think in English, but also helps you build confidence. And speaking of building, another tip is to associate words with visuals or feelings.
Oh, that's a good one. Can you explain more, Jason?
Of course. Let's say you're learning the word happy. Instead of just memorizing the word, picture a moment when you felt happy, like getting a gift or spending time with family. This mental association makes the word more memorable and meaningful.
I love that. It's like creating a personal connection with the language. And here's another tip. Try to narrate your day in English. For instance, if you're brushing your teeth, think, "I'm brushing my teeth. The toothpaste is minty." It's a simple way to practice thinking in English during everyday activities.
Absolutely, Julia. Another effective technique is mindful listening. Pay close attention to how native speakers or fluent speakers form sentences. Notice their choice of words, their tone, and how they pause naturally.
Yes. And when you're listening, don't just passively absorb the information. Repeat what you hear. Mimic the sentences in your head or say them out loud. It's like a mini conversation practice.
That's such a valuable tip. And here's one of my favorites. Ask yourself questions in English. For example, what do I need to do today? Or, what did I enjoy about my day? Answering these questions trains your brain to think and respond in English.
I agree, Jason. And one last tip. Practice with purpose. Choose a specific topic or goal for the day. For example, decide, "Today, I'll focus on describing people." Then, spend the day thinking and forming sentences about people you see or know.
That's excellent advice, Julia. When you have a clear focus, it helps your brain stay organized, which is exactly what thinking smart is all about.
So, to sum up, start with simple thoughts, make connections with visuals or emotions, narrate your day, listen actively, ask yourself questions, and practice with purpose. These small steps will make a big difference in how you think in English.
Perfectly said, Julia. Now that we've covered thinking smart, let's move to the next step: strategies for speaking fluently. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now that we've talked about thinking smart, it's time to discuss strategies for speaking fluently. Julia, when it comes to fluency, what's one common misconception that learners have?
Great question, Jason. I think many learners believe that speaking fluently means speaking fast. But in reality, fluency is more about speaking clearly and naturally, even if you're not speaking quickly.
Exactly. Fluency is about smoothness and confidence, not speed. And one of the best ways to achieve that is by focusing on natural pauses in your speech. Instead of rushing, take short pauses to organize your thoughts.
That's a great point, Jason. Pausing naturally not only gives you time to think, but also makes your speech easier to understand for others. Another important strategy is to stop translating in your head.
Yes, translating can slow you down and lead to awkward sentences. Instead, try to think in English, as we discussed earlier. And if you don't know a word, don't panic. Use simple words or gestures to explain your idea.
That's so true. And speaking of simplicity, one tip I always recommend is to start with basic sentences. For example, instead of saying, I'm absolutely thrilled to see you. You can say, I'm happy to see you. Once you're comfortable, you can gradually add more advanced expressions.
I love that, Julia. Building fluency is like building a house. You start with a strong foundation and then add layers over time. Another tip is to practice speaking every day, even if it's just for a few minutes.
Exactly, Jason. And if you don't have a partner, you can talk to yourself. Describe what you're doing, share your thoughts, or even read something aloud. It might feel silly at first, but it's an excellent way to improve.
And don't forget about shadowing, Julia. This is when you listen to someone speak and try to copy their words, tone, and rhythm immediately after. It's a fantastic way to train your brain and mouth to work together.
That's a powerful technique, Jason. Another thing learners should do is embrace mistakes. Making mistakes is a natural part of learning. Instead of feeling embarrassed, treat every mistake as a chance to learn and improve.
Absolutely. And here's another practical tip. Record yourself speaking. When you listen to your own voice, you'll notice areas where you can improve, like pronunciation or pacing.
Yes, Jason, and it also helps you track your progress over time. Lastly, remember to celebrate small wins. Whether it's saying a new phrase correctly or having a short conversation in English, every step forward is worth celebrating.
Well said, Julia. Fluency is a journey, not a destination. To recap, pause naturally, stop translating, start with simple sentences, practice daily, use shadowing, embrace mistakes, record yourself, and celebrate your progress.
That's a great summary, Jason. Coming up, we'll give you a fun activity to put these strategies into practice. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now that we've covered strategies for thinking smart and speaking fluently, let's put it all into action with a fun challenge. Julia, are you ready?
I'm ready, Jason, and I hope our listeners are too. This activity is designed to help you practice both thinking and speaking in English.
Here's how it works. First, choose a simple topic you can talk about, like your daily routine, your favorite food, or a recent movie you watched. Got it?
Great. Now, set a timer for 1 minute. Your goal is to speak in English about your chosen topic for the entire minute without stopping. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep talking.
Exactly. If you get stuck, don't stop. Instead, use fillers like, let me think, or repeat your last sentence until a new idea comes to mind.
And here's a pro tip. Start with simple sentences. For example, if your topic is your daily routine, you can say, I wake up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth. I eat breakfast. I go to work. Once you're comfortable, you can add more details.
Yes, and if you're up for a challenge, try to record yourself while speaking. Afterward, listen to your recording and note areas where you can improve, like pronunciation, pacing, or sentence structure.
That's such a valuable exercise, Jason, and don't forget to celebrate your effort. Even if it feels challenging, completing this activity is a big step toward fluency.
Absolutely, Julia. So, listeners, your challenge today is to pick a topic, set a timer, and speak for 1 minute in English. And remember, progress is more important than perfection.
We'd love to hear how it went. Feel free to share your experience in the comments or even upload a short video of your practice.
That's a great idea, Julia. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, you're closer to fluency than you think. Stay with us for the final takeaway and a motivational message. Don't go anywhere. And that brings us to the end of today's episode, Think Smart, Speak Fluent. We hope you found these tips and strategies helpful. Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight. It's all about consistent practice and having the right mindset.
Absolutely, Jason. Whether it's thinking in simple English, practicing daily, or embracing mistakes, every small effort adds up. You're building a skill that will open doors to new opportunities and connections.
And we're here to support you every step of the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Easy English Talk, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Also, share this podcast with your friends or anyone who's learning English. Let's create a community of learners who inspire and support each other.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, you're closer to fluency than you think.